So you want to buy a KFC, find a building, hire the cooks, watch the chicken roll in. But here's the strange part. KFC is one of the most recognized brands on the planet. 30,000 locations, 145 countries. It literally invented the fast food franchise model. And the man who built it from nothing sold the whole thing for $2 million and spent the rest of his life publicly furious about it. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how KFC makes money on the inside, why a chain that once dominated American fried chicken is now watching smaller competitors eat its lunch, and why the same bucket of chicken that's struggling in Louisville is building one of the most profitable restaurant empires in human history, just on the other side of the world. Let's start with the price of admission. According to KFC's 2025 franchise disclosure document, the legal filing every franchisor has to give you before you sign anything, opening a brand new KFC costs between $1.85 million and $3.77 million. That covers construction, equipment, signage, inventory, training, and a $45,000 franchise fee, the one-time payment for the right to put Colonel Sanders on your building. If you're buying an existing location and remodeling it instead, the range drops to $1.05 million to $2.52 million. Still not cheap, but that lower end is where most franchisees actually enter the system. Unlike McDonald's, which runs you through 6 to 12 months of unpaid training before they'll even consider your application, KFC's selection process is straightforward. If you have the capital and a business background, Yum Brands, KFC's parent company, wants to talk to you, especially outside the US. We'll get to why that qualifier matters. Every month, you send Yum Brands 2 checks before you pay anything else. The first is the royalty, 4 to 5% of gross revenue, not profit, revenue. Every dollar that comes through your register, 5 cents goes to Louisville, Kentucky, regardless of whether you made money that month or not. The second is the marketing fee, another 4.5%. This funds the national ad campaigns, the Colonel Sanders commercials, the app promotions. You don't control where it goes, you just pay it. Add those together and you're already giving Yum Brands 9 to 10 cents out of every dollar before you touch a single operating expense. Now here's the number that changes everything. According to KFC's own franchise disclosure document, the median annual revenue for a US KFC franchise is $1,283,000. And here's the detail most people skim past. Only 44% of franchisees actually hit the average, meaning more than half are doing less than $1.35 million a year. After royalties, marketing fees, food costs, labor for 30 to 40 employees, rent, utilities, insurance, and taxes, the estimated net earnings per location runs somewhere between $150,000 and $200,000 a year. To recoup a $2.5 million investment at that rate, you're looking at a payback period of 12 to 16 years. That's the math. Hold on to it. Before we talk about why those numbers are what they are, you need to know about one man. Harlan Sanders was born in 1890 in Indiana. By 40, he'd been a streetcar conductor, an insurance salesman, a steamboat ferry operator, and a tire salesman. At 40, he started cooking chicken at a roadside service station in Corbin, Kentucky. Not because he had a plan, because travelers were hungry and he could cook. By 1952, he had a recipe, 11 herbs and spices, a pressure cooking method, and his first franchisee in Utah. The deal was 5 cents for every chicken sold. By 1964, he had over 600 locations across the US and Canada. He sold the whole company at age 73 for the price of $2 million. 7 years later, those same investors sold it again, this time for $285 million. Sanders kept his salary. He kept the white suit. He became the brand's paid spokesperson, but the company wasn't his anymore, and he knew it. He publicly called the new owners incompetent. Eventually, he sued KFC for $122 million. The case settled for roughly $1 million and a promise that he could keep training cooks. He died in 1980 at age 90, still wearing the suit that, by then, belonged to someone else. That tension between the man who built the thing and the corporation that owns his face is the most important thing to understand about what KFC is today. In 2000, KFC had 5,364 restaurants in the United States. Today, it has 3,638. That's 1,700 locations gone over 25 years in a country where people are eating more fried chicken than at any point in history. The fried chicken market in the US is booming. Between 2019 and 2024, Fried chicken sandwich orders alone grew 19%. Total fast food industry sales were up in 2024. KFC's domestic sales were down 5.2%. While every other major chain was adding customers, KFC was losing them. In 2023, Popeyes officially overtook KFC to become the #2 chicken chain in the US. KFC is now #4, behind Chick-fil-A, Popeyes, and Raising Cane's, a chain that didn't exist until 1996 and currently generates more than $6.5 million per restaurant per year. The average KFC does $1.3 million. Chick-fil-A does $7.49 million per location, closed on Sundays. That gap isn't a blip, it's a structural problem. In July 2025, KFC launched what it's calling the Kentucky Fried Comeback campaign, which is the kind of name you only come up with when the situation is bad enough that you've stopped pretending otherwise. Here's where it gets genuinely strange. While KFC is slowly contracting in America, it is aggressively expanding everywhere else. In 2024, KFC opened a net of 1,352 new restaurants in China alone. That's not total locations, that's new ones, in a single year. KFC entered China in November 1987 with one restaurant in Beijing, near Tiananmen Square. It was the first major Western fast food chain in the country. People lined up for hours. Today, KFC has 11,648 restaurants in China. That's more KFCs in China than in the entire United States, by almost a 3-to-1 margin. In 2016, Yum Brands spun off all of their China operations into a separate publicly traded company called Yum China. Independent management, independent stock, and independent destiny. In 2024, Yum China reported total revenue of $11.3 billion. KFC alone generated $8.5 billion of that. Adjusted net profit, $911 million. While KFC in Corbin, Kentucky is trying to figure out how to stop closing stores, KFC in Chengdu is opening 1,000 new ones a year. Back to your franchise. You've signed the agreement. You've got the keys. Now the real education begins. Chicken is expensive. It's also volatile. In 2022 alone, wholesale chicken prices spiked more than 20%. KFC's menu is built around one protein. There's no switching to something cheaper when costs go up. You absorb it. Food costs typically run 28 to 33% of revenue. Labor runs another 25 to 30. Royalties and marketing take another 9 to 10. Rent is another 8 to 15%. Add utilities, insurance, and taxes, and you've accounted for close to 90 cents of every dollar before the owner sees anything. Then there's the renovation cycle. If your location isn't up to KFC's current design standard, you're required to renovate. The cost comes out of your pocket. Miss the deadline, and you risk your franchise agreement, which, by the way, runs 20 years. But the corporation can terminate it early, and they don't have to buy the restaurant back at market value. In February 2018, KFC made a logistics decision that became a global news story. The chain switched its UK delivery contract to DHL, a general logistics company with no experience running perishable food at this scale. Within days, the warehouse couldn't handle the volume. The result, 800 out of 900 KFC locations in the UK closed due to a shortage of chicken. KFC ran a full-page ad with the letters rearranged to spell FCK. The public loved it. But behind the viral ad, hundreds of franchisees absorbed days of zero revenue while still paying rent and wages. In the summer of 2024, EYM Group, one of the larger KFC franchise operators in the Midwest, quietly closed more than 25 restaurants across Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin. No warning to employees in many cases. Doors just shut. The math didn't work. And once you're in that position with a franchise, your options are limited. You can't cut royalties. You can't opt out of the marketing fee. All you can do is close. Those 25 locations represented livelihoods, leases, and millions in sunk costs. Not dramatic, just gone. Let's run two honest scenarios. Scenario 1, a single KFC in a mid-size American city. You spend $2.5 million to open. You do median revenue, $1.28 million a year. After everything, you net between $150,000 and $190,000 a year. Payback, 13 to 16 years. That's longer than most commercial leases. Scenario 2, multiple locations in a high-growth international market. Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, Africa, where KFC is still an aspirational brand and competition is lighter. The economics look completely different when you're opening in a market that's growing toward KFC rather than growing past it. And then there's the third scenario, the one nobody mentions in the franchise brochure. The investors who bought KFC from Colonel Sanders in 1964 for $2 million, sold it 7 years later for $285 million. Those same investors didn't fry a single piece of chicken. KFC is not one business. It's three completely different businesses, wearing the same bucket. In America, a franchise in contraction. Sales sliding, competitors winning, the average franchisee grinding out returns that barely justify the investment. In China, one of the most successful restaurant expansion stories ever recorded. $8.5 billion in annual revenue, and still opening 1,000 new stores a year. And at the corporate level, a royalty machine that collects 4 to 5% of every dollar earned by every franchisee on earth, while bearing almost none of the operating risk. Colonel Sanders built all of this from a gas station in Kentucky and sold it for $2 million at age 73. The investors who bought it from him understood something he didn't see yet. What they were buying wasn't a restaurant, it was a royalty stream. Think carefully about which side of that transaction you want to be on.